AITA for calling out a creep at the gym? I've been taking the gym seriously over the past couple of years. It's become part of my routine, something I do for myself. And while I've had my fair share of encounters with creepy guys, today hit differently. It was leg day, and I was in the middle of some heavy squats, totally in the zone with my headphones on. Out of nowhere, I felt someone tap me on the shoulder. I pulled out one earbud, and this guy, probably in his late 20s, asked how many sets I had left. I'll admit it annoyed me, not because he asked but because I was clearly focused. Personally, I never bother people during their sets. I just wait or find another machine. Still, I kept it cool and told him I had 3 sets left. Instead of moving on, he just stood behind me, not off to the side, not walking away, directly behind me doing some half-hearted stretches. And yeah, I could feel his eyes on me, specifically on my butt while I was squatting. What made it worse? There were 3 other squat racks open, all being used by men. He didn't approach any of them, just waited for me to finish mine. When I finally wrapped up, he walked up to me with this smug little smile and said something like, "You're a strong girl. Your squat form and your legs are really impressive." That was it. That crossed the line for me. I took out my headphones and said, loudly enough that people looked, "I don't appreciate you staring at me while I'm working out, and I don't want compliments from you." He looked stunned and mumbled something about how he was just being nice and didn't see many girls squatting 275 pounds. I cut him off and said, "Then maybe stop watching girls work out like it's a show and trying to hit on them." That's when his whole demeanor changed. He called me a bitch. I shot back, told him not to talk to me again, and reminded him that the gym isn't a place to pick up girls. Especially not when I'm 21 and he's pushing 27. Afterward, I told some of my friends what happened, and to my surprise, a few of them said I overreacted. But honestly, I don't think I did anything wrong. I was just trying to work out in peace. He was the one who interrupted me, stared at me, and dished out creepy compliments I never asked for. So, AITA for walking out of a house showing? My husband and I are currently house hunting for our family. Today, we toured a few houses with my in-laws, the kids, and a realtor named Bob. Bob had previously helped my in-laws buy their current home and seemed close with them, but my husband and I hadn't met him before this. At the first house, we started by checking out the mudroom, which was pretty small. Everyone went in except Bob and me. We stayed behind in the kitchen. While waiting, I asked Bob if this was the house with 2 bedrooms downstairs and 2 upstairs, like we had discussed before. Instead of answering, he rolled his eyes, sighed, and walked away. I was shocked and felt like he didn't like me, probably from previous experiences during house tours. I tried to brush it off. Later, when we were checking out the basement, my husband asked Bob the exact same question. This time, Bob responded enthusiastically, gave detailed answers about the bedrooms, and encouraged my husband and in-laws to go see the space, but he completely ignored me. That's when I got really upset. I walked away from the group and took the kids outside since they were getting restless anyway. Afterwards, my mother-in-law told me it was rude to walk away while Bob was talking. I explained what happened, but she kept insisting it was disrespectful and emphasized that Bob is a close family friend. When I told my husband, he was furious. He also sensed Bob's weird attitude toward me. I can't shake what happened today, especially my MIL's words. Here's some context that might be important. I'm black, and my husband and his family are white. We live in a predominantly white, rural area in upstate New York, where I often get stared at. So, AITA for walking away during the house showing? AITA for telling my travel friends they can leave the group but I'll be staying? I've been backpacking through Southeast Asia for a few months now, and I've spent the last month or so in Thailand. At the start of my time here, I met 2 other solo travelers at my hostel. They seemed like good vibes, and the 3 of us ended up sticking together for a few weeks. As time went on, though, I realized we have pretty different travel styles. They're both very type A, plan everything out, stay on schedule, whereas I'm more of a go-with-the-flow type. I didn't think that would be a problem. In fact, I figured it worked out well. They clearly cared more about planning, so I just let them take the lead and rolled with whatever. I can be a bit disorganized and tend to run 5 to 10 minutes late sometimes. But, come on, it's vacation. Who cares if we're 5 minutes late to dinner or to the beach? We're in a beautiful place, hanging out with cool people. Anyway, I thought we were all getting along fine. Over the last couple weeks, our trio even grew. We met 4 more people and they joined our little group. Everything felt great. That was until yesterday, when the original 2 sat me down and told me they didn't want to travel with me anymore. They said it was frustrating that I never helped plan and that I was often late. I told them I honestly thought I was making things easier by staying out of the planning. I didn't have strong preferences and figured it was simpler to let them decide, especially since they sometimes disagreed with each other. I also said I'd have been happy to adjust if they'd told me sooner. But if this is how they feel, I said okay, no hard feelings, and they're free to go off and do their own thing. Here's where it got weird. They said they actually really like the group dynamic with the new people we've met, and they'd prefer I be the one to leave. Their logic was that there are two of them and only one of me, so it's more fair if I'm the one who goes. I told them respectfully that if they have an issue, they should be the ones to go off on their own. I get along with the group and haven't caused any drama, so I'm staying. TLDR. Two people in my travel group don't want to travel with me anymore because I'm too laid back and not involved in planning. I told them that's fine, but I'm not leaving the group they have a problem with. If they don't like it, they can leave. AITA, because I told my wife she isn't allowed to ground my son. My son is 17 and about to start his senior year of high school. He's working hard this summer to earn an athletic scholarship, and he's been going to the gym regularly to train. I'm proud of him. This is a crucial time in his life. I also have 3 other boys. 2 of them are from before my wife and I got together, but I've legally adopted them. They're all much younger than my oldest. My wife is their biological mother, but she's not my oldest son's mom. The issue started yesterday. My wife asked my son to tidy up the living room. He said he was already heading to the gym and would do it when he got back. He left before she could reply. She then texted him that he was grounded and called me to let me know. I told her I'd talk to him, but he wasn't grounded. She was angry and said he disrespected her. I said we'd have a conversation with him, but grounding wasn't on the table. This summer is important. For him, for us. It's my last one with him before he potentially moves away for college, and I'm not willing to jeopardize his chances unless it's something serious. I texted my son that he wasn't grounded, but we'd talk when he got home. He was fine with that and texted when he was leaving the gym. When he got back, we all sat down. He said he didn't mind helping out, but he's on a tight schedule and can't always drop everything. He said if we ask in advance, he's happy to help, but he's not at anyone's beck and call. My wife didn't like that answer, but I told him it was reasonable. I asked if he'd still be willing to clean the living room, and he said he would after a shower. While he was in the shower, my wife and I got into a big fight. She said I undermined her and that now none of the kids would respect her. I told her that when it comes to my oldest, she doesn't have the final say, I do. I told her that if it were one of our kids, I wouldn't have done what I did. But she's not my oldest's mom, and we've always acknowledged that. That really upset her. She said she needed space and barely talked to me today. Just now, she told me she's going to take the boys to a Memorial Day barbecue and asked if I could stay home. My oldest already had plans with friends, so he's not going either. Now I'm wondering if I'm the asshole. My son has always been respectful to her. He's never cursed at her, never shouted, never crossed a line. He's just never called her mom, and we've never forced that dynamic. I don't think I was wrong to stand up for him, but maybe I was a bad husband in the process. AITA, ITJ for refusing to pay my parents' rent. I'm a 22-year-old guy living in Mississauga and working full-time. Until recently, I lived with my parents. They rent their home, they don't own it, and pay around $2,500 a month. About 9 months ago, my dad told me I needed to start paying $2,000 a month in rent for my room. I was honestly shocked. There's no way I could justify paying that much to live in my parents' house. After some back and forth, we settled on $1,000 per month. But even then, I felt bitter about the whole thing. So eventually, I decided to move out. I've been paying $1,100 a month ever since for a room elsewhere. And frankly, I feel better about giving that money to a stranger than to my dad under those terms. Here's where things get more complicated. I have 2 sisters. Both are still in school and live at home rent-free. On top of that, my parents pay their tuition. Meanwhile, I didn't go to college, so they never had to pay for tuition or housing for me. My dad's justification is that my sisters aren't working and are still studying, so they don't need to contribute. I just don't agree with that mindset. I feel like I'm being penalized for being independent and not going the school route. My dad is upset with me, not only because I refused to keep paying him rent, but also because I told him directly that I'd rather pay a stranger than pay him under those conditions. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 6 months. So now I'm wondering, am I the jerk for standing my ground and deciding to move out instead of paying what felt like an unfair rent to my own parents? ITA for exposing my sister's fake cancer to our parents after she refused to come clean herself? For the past 8 months, My sister has told our entire family that she has cancer. She shaved her head, claimed she was undergoing chemotherapy, and even had our parents move in with her to help her through treatment. At first, I believed her, but over time, things started to feel off. She always had too much energy for someone supposedly going through aggressive chemo. She stayed out late often, and she never let anyone go with her to doctor's appointments, always coming up with excuses. My gut started telling me something wasn't right. Then, last week, I ran into the office manager of the oncology clinic my sister claimed to be going to. It's a small town, so we got to chatting. I casually mentioned my sister, and the manager looked confused. She had no idea who I was talking about. That set off alarm bells. I did some digging, called a few doctors, and finally confronted my sister. She broke down and admitted it was all a lie. She said she was drowning in debt and couldn't afford her apartment anymore. The cancer story got our parents to move in so she could stop paying her bills. She admitted it was wrong but begged me not to tell them, saying it would destroy her relationship with them. I told her she had 24 hours to come clean, or I would. Well, she didn't, so I did. I told our parents everything yesterday. They were absolutely heartbroken. Not just about the lie, but about the months of emotional stress, worry, and grief they'd endured thinking their daughter was seriously ill. Now my sister is furious with me. She says I had no right to out her and that I should have protected her instead of exposing her. She claimed she was planning a miraculous recovery next month and that I ruined everything. She says I've destroyed her life and that families should defend each other, not betray each other. But to me, this wasn't a harmless lie. It was manipulative, cruel, and incredibly selfish. She took advantage of our parents' love and completely broke their trust. So, AITA for posting screenshots of my SIL's texts online and making her look bad? My wife and I had our twin sons 6 days ago. It was a complicated pregnancy. They had TTTS, twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which led to them arriving early. They're currently in the neonatal unit, and my wife and I have been practically living there to spend as much time with our boys as possible. 2 days ago, my brother got married. We had been invited, of course, but I didn't want to leave my wife or newborn sons. I missed the wedding, though I sent a gift and a message wishing them a beautiful day. I genuinely thought that was the end of it. Yesterday, my new sister-in-law texted me saying that since my wife and I didn't show up, we owed her £140 for our plates of food. I thought she was joking. She told me she understood my wife couldn't come because of the hospital, but then said I didn't give birth so I could have come, and our absence meant 2 meals went to waste. I was shocked. I asked if my brother knew she was messaging me about this, and she brushed it off, saying weddings are expensive and she was just trying to recoup losses. She also said this should stay between us women, as if we were having a private and reasonable exchange. At that point, I lost my temper. Between the timing and her implication that I wasn't a real parent because I didn't give birth, I snapped. I took screenshots of the conversation and posted them on Facebook. The post got a lot of attention. Apparently, several people in the family reached out to her. She messaged me again, furious, saying I made her look bad, that people were taking it out of context and treating her like a villain. My brother then called me and said not to worry about the money. He agreed it was ridiculous and asked me to take the post down so he could handle it privately. Now I'm wondering if I went too far. My wife is particularly upset by the "you didn't give birth" comment, since it felt dismissive of the role I've played. I know I could have handled it better, and I wasn't thinking clearly at the time, but did posting it make me the AITA for telling my friend I won't drive her to work anymore after she kept making us late? For the past 3 months, I've been giving my friend Lena a ride to work. We live just a few blocks apart, work at the same place, though in different departments, and start at the same time. It made sense at first. In the beginning, everything went smoothly. But over the past month, Lena's been consistently running late. Like really late. I text her when I leave my house, and most days I end up sitting outside for 10 to 15 minutes waiting. A few times, she's even asked me to swing by a coffee shop or drop her at a different entrance, which obviously adds more time. We've both gotten written up twice for being late. This week, I finally told her I couldn't keep driving her if she's not ready when I arrive. I said I like her and didn't want to ruin our friendship over something small, but I have to prioritize my job. She got really quiet and said she didn't think it was that big of a deal, and that I was being kind of cold about something that was supposed to be a favor. Now she's barely talking to me at work. A mutual friend told me she feels ditched. Honestly, I never meant to hurt her feelings, but I was doing her a favor, and it started to feel like she was treating me like her personal Uber. I don't think it's fair that I keep risking my own job just so she doesn't have to walk or take the bus. So, ITA for cutting off the rides after she kept making us late? This happened a few days ago, and I wanted to get some opinions. My friend, let's call him Marcus, has a girlfriend named Sarah. She invited me and a few other friends over for dinner as a way of getting to know us better. Marcus had mentioned before that Sarah's been into ceramics since she was a kid, and sure enough, there were a bunch of ceramic pieces displayed around her home. Now, I want to be clear. I had zero malicious intent when I asked the question. I was honestly trying to be friendly and show interest in something she clearly cared about. She seemed like a genuinely nice person, and I thought it would be a good way to connect. At one point, I saw a small ceramic pot in the living room. It reminded me of something I made when I was younger in a ceramics club. So I asked, "How old were you when you made that one?" Just out of curiosity and because it reminded me of my own little pot that I still have at home. As soon as I asked, I could tell she was upset. She looked kind of hurt and replied, "I made that a couple of weeks ago." I immediately felt bad and tried to explain myself. I told her I didn't mean it looked bad or childish or anything, and shared that I had made something similar when I was a kid, which is why I asked. But I could tell my explanation wasn't really helping. Marcus gave me a look and quickly changed the subject, but the vibe shifted. Sarah seemed more distant toward me for the rest of the evening. After we left, Marcus called to berate me. I tried to explain again, but he's still angry. I genuinely didn't mean anything insulting by my question, and I still feel bad that it upset her. But now I'm wondering, did I really do something wrong here? AITA? WIPTA for skipping my brother's wedding after he skipped mine? I got married last April. We sent out wedding invitations a full year in advance, plus reminders 6 months before the big day. My brother Jacob is the youngest of 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy, and my parents have always treated him like their golden child who can do no wrong. As adults, this has caused a lot of tension. Jacob behaves like a moody teenager, and his fiancée Kelly only makes it worse by enabling his bad behavior. Kelly constantly tells him that we don't appreciate him and that we should be grateful to have him as a sibling. My parents think my sisters and I just don't understand him or give him enough grace. A week before my wedding, Jacob told me he wouldn't come because he'd be busy with Kelly, and they were going on vacation. I begged him to come and stressed how important it was to me. My mom got involved and assured me he'd be there. I didn't find out until an hour before I walked down the aisle that he wasn't coming and never planned to. I was devastated. My sisters and husband had to calm me down. I had my heart set on the whole family being there. He was even supposed to be our ring bearer. When Jacob announced he and Kelly were engaged, I was happy for them. He set the wedding date for May 30th this year and made it very clear we all have to be there. Kelly even sent a text saying attendance was mandatory. I've been seriously debating skipping his wedding. I don't get along with Kelly, and Jacob skipped mine. I mentioned this to my mom, who was furious and told everyone. Now my brother, Kelly, and my parents are calling me petty and an asshole for possibly skipping the wedding. My sisters and husband agree I don't have to go since they didn't come to mine. But I'm unsure. Would I be the asshole if I skipped my brother's wedding? ITA for giving my daughter $60 a week but nothing to my son? I have 2 kids. Earlier this year, we moved closer to my parents because their health has been declining. My daughter was excited about the move, but my son has had a really hard time adjusting. Since I started working from home part-time, I needed a workspace. My bedroom is too small, so the only options were the lounge or one of the kids' rooms during school hours. I asked them if it was okay. My son immediately refused, said no way in hell. My daughter, on the other hand, offered up her room and half-joked about charging me rent. I thought that was fair since I get a $20 per day work-from-home allowance from my job. I agreed to give it to her if she was okay with me setting up a small office in her room. I work from 8:30 to 5, and she usually starts her homework right after, so it's been working out well. Here's the problem. My son is angry that his sister is getting $60 a week, 5 workdays x $20. I don't do regular allowances, just canteen money, about $10 per week, and other needs as they come up. I told him he had the same opportunity but refused it, so now he's out of luck. He got upset and brought up the move, saying he never gets to see his friends. For the record, I drive both kids to visit their friends every 2 weeks. I told him I understood how he felt but wouldn't tolerate disrespectful behavior. Then he started arguing with his sister, calling her an opportunistic bitch, and she called him a whiny little asshole. To cool things down, I offered that one of them could stay at their grandparents' house for the night, not as punishment but just to break the tension. My son chose to go. While dropping him off, my mom told me I was favoring my daughter and that I should be paying them equally. My dad disagreed, saying my son had the choice and missed out. So, AITA?